If I can have the panel and Jody come on up. We're not doing Jeopardy up here. There's a purpose to it. But we're going to take a little bit of a different format to finish this morning. And we've asked 6 of our young leaders to just come up and kind of share the things that God is doing in the lives of their church and their lives, and kind of giving that vision for the future. Just in case Jesus waits till after Tyron's gone, we want to build into that future that's here. But a couple quick notes just to help us understand what we're doing here as they get settled in. We need to remember that the strongest church will not be a church of one generation. It will be a church of all generations. And so we need to make sure that we build in such a way locally and as a team that allows generation after generation to walk in the things that God led us into. Tyron often says everywhere we go that in order to build for the next generation, you have to build with the next generation. So what we're endeavoring to do today is to hear from them, the next generation, what God is doing in their hearts, the things that are stirring in them, what's happening at their local church, and what they're believing God for into the future that's before them and before us. We need to make sure that we see young people as an incredible gift in the life of the church. Not something to be dealt with till they hit a certain age and then they move into the regular. But they are with us from the beginning in ministry, from the time they're little ones until God chooses to take them home. We need to remember in the scriptures, God knit every one of us together in our mother's womb with a purpose and a plan. And it doesn't say when they're 18, they'll inherit it. It says from the time of birth, before you were born, I knew you and I set you apart. Our goal, our job in it is to help each and every believer discover who it is God made them to be, no matter what their age is. And just to preface as we go into this, we can often look at these times and think of it from a perspective of youth ministry. And I want to caution us, this is not youth ministry. We're not asking them what's happening in a youth group. Those are helpful, they're good times of togetherness. But our role is, again, not to relegate our youth to something else until we're ready for them. Our role is to bring them along with us so that together we fulfill the mandate God has given to us. Tyron again preaches about inheritance versus legacy. If we just want to make an inheritance, then we'll just keep them to the side, build something and hand it to them and hope they do well. If we want a legacy, something that will last beyond us and beyond them, we want to build into them and build with them so they do the same generation after generation until Jesus comes back. Amen? Amen. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Jody and the crew here and here.
Cool. Awesome. Here's some stuff to mess with your theology. Some theologians believe that some of the apostles started their discipleship with Jesus from the ages of 14 to 17. Which means that they entered apostolic ministry between the ages of 17 and 21. Apostolic ministry. Here's a shameless plug for Rise Up Youth Conference. So I'm looking for a 13-year-old female who does not live in California. First one up to me, you can have this. This is for you, Rise Up Youth Conference t-shirt. Oh, no moms. I'm talking about girls. All right. Male, 13-year-old male. Come on, buddy. Come and get it. Oh, look. Whoa. I got one for you. Awesome. Hey, Rise Up Youth Conference. It's not something we do apart from this. This is something that we have believed in cultivating values. It's taken off. It's done great things. But honestly, it's to equip these guys to go far beyond just a conference experience. So, hey, you guys good? All right, this real quick thing about being on a panel. You need to smile and look like you want to be a part of it. So, hey, these are our friends from different churches. So why don't you just introduce yourself and tell us what church that you're from? Yes, please, start with Kate.
Hi, guys. My name is Katie Gray, and I go to Westside Church in Placerville, California.
Hey, guys. My name's Daniel Savrata, and I go to FCC in South Africa.
I'm Christine Intezar, and I'm from Redemption City Church in Denver, Colorado.
What's up, guys? I'm Joshua Daniel, and I go to RCC with Christine, so.
I'm Chloe Romero. I go to Restoration Los Angeles.
I'm Faith Sugiton. I go to Gracious Living Church in Upland, California.
There you go. All right. So here's my question, and I want to go across. We'll go from Katie down to Faith. What's happening in your church that involves young leaders? What's happening in your church that involves young leaders?
Well, for me, when I was 13 years old, I started going to worship practices because I wanted to be involved in participating with the worship team. And I assumed that I wouldn't start right away since I was so young and stuff. But after about like 2 practices, they asked me if I wanted to actually participate with them for a service. And I was terrified because I was in front of so many people and I was with everyone who was older than me. But I feel like we were really unified as a group and they really brought me under their wing. And since then, a lot of young people have participated. And I think that that's a really good area where young people are really included.
Awesome. Danny.
So what's happening in our church right now is that it's not really a youth ministry, but what we call it is young adults. And it's kind of like a focus group, a home cell that we all have. And it's just exploded out of nowhere. But we tried our best not to make it like a party for everyone. We want it to be serious. We want it to be like an actual ministry for us young guys. And it's just exploded. There's so many kids around. And we're all meeting in my brother's house, it's a really nice house, but it can't hold like 30 kids, to be honest. And there's young, super awesome young guys, like 13, 14 years old. And you see so much potential in them. And it's just like, wow, this guy, we need to split up. We need to give these young guys their own group. They're so awesome. We need to split up and make room for more people.
Awesome. Yeah.
So right now in Redemption, I think we're having big changes, and with God is really leading us, and we're moving to 2 services up in September, which is a really amazing thing, and we're very excited in what God has for us in the church. And we've had about 3 of the youth in the church just be a part of an internship that will be mentored by TK, and I thought that was just such an amazing thing for us, especially about all 3 of us being 18 and 19-year-olds. I think that's such a cool thing, like being so closely involved and so closely mentored in the things of the church and, the depths of it and how it works. So I think that's really cool that, we're doing that, so.
Yeah, I think honestly everything that we're doing is basically involving the youth. The way that we lead worship, the youth is leading the worship basically. We have people preaching that are youth leaders, youth pastors, I guess you could say. Even TK, I just want to honor TK. TK has been such an amazing influence on me just because he's brought me up and he's made me be able to be myself in ministry, be myself at church. And the way he leads the youth, the youth is part of the church. And the way he leads the church is just up front and leading the youth. So, yeah.
Sorry, bro.
So recently I just actually moved back home. So we actually started recently, I don't know how far ago. But anyway, Gavin and Ange, they started pretty much our young adults group, which basically was all of us youth kids who all graduated, and we were kind of like in this kind of limbo space, I would kind of say, just we didn't know what to do kind of. But they've been amazing leaders. They've opened up their house, and their family is just amazing, and they love us so well, and they're such great teachers. And yeah, I would say that was probably the biggest thing that's happening. That's cultivating us and making us excited and getting us involved. And yeah, it's really exciting. So
something that we started probably within the past month or so is actually getting us young adults who are just recently in the teen group and just graduated from high school or in college now, started leading worship for our youth group, which is really awesome. So I just said, pick up a guitar, learn how to play, and let's do this thing. So it's been really awesome, and yeah, they're really passionate about leading, and it's very anointed. So
awesome. So I'm going to ask a really hard question. I want you to be as honest as possible. 1-word answer. Have you ever felt like there was an us versus them, older people, ministry opportunities in the life of your church? Like, I don't have access to that because I'm too young. Have you ever felt that way? One word answer.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a tough question because I would say yes, but there's a reason for it.
Okay.
Not really.
No.
I would say yes, but just there's reasons. Yeah, and it's not that cut and dry.
I'm nervous. My pastor's staring at me.
He just looks like that. That's not his stare. That's his happy face.
Yeah, I would say yes.
Okay, for those of you who said yes with reasons, Danny, maybe clarify that just a bit.
So I started going to our young adults group when I was like 12. I jumped the gun a little bit. You're supposed to be 13, but I really wanted to go. I was 12 years old, and there was old guys. They were like 20, 19, 17. I could not. They were old for me. I could not relate at all. I didn't know what was going on, but I thought it was so awesome. I just loved going there, speaking to the old dudes. We had a pool table. I couldn't play, but they taught me how to play. It was just really awesome, and I just loved listening to them because back in those days, like a couple years ago, back in those days, I really did not know my Bible well enough, and seeing these older guys, but still young guys, they love the Lord so much, they love their Bible, and it fired me up seeing them fired up.
Chloe, some clarification.
I think just the relationships between myself and leaders where they didn't really know me and I didn't know them in the sense of, I just know them as my leaders and like, that's it. There wasn't really a relationship. So they didn't know my capacity in that kind of sense.
So there's a disconnect because of relational issues,
yeah.
Right? Okay. Faith?
Yeah, I think it's kind of the same, and also just, I think it's hard. I really do appreciate like when I can go to leaders who like are just a little bit older than me and talk to them, but I think it would also be more helpful to like have people who can talk to me who are actually like in it with me at the same time. So
awesome. Next question, Josh. How important has leadership been in shaping you and your giftings to be used in the local context?
It's been a big deal. I think the way that our elders work, the way that our church works, it's almost as they're a safety net for us. It's like they're there for throwing us in the deep end and just saying, we got you, we're never going to let you drop in. And just honestly, just giving us a chance, giving us an opportunity to do the right things or even mess up sometimes. So,
Katie, same question. How instrumental you talked about worship and how they brought you along, maybe when you felt like you were even too young, but how important has leadership been to shape you in those ways as well?
Well, I've really gotten to when I first did it, I was mainly just worried about what I looked like, how I sounded. That was like all that was running through my head the whole time because it was like my first time doing something like that. But I feel like over the course of the years that I had been doing it, I really saw the church from a different point of view and was able to really see everyone and see how they weren't thinking about anything else. They weren't paying attention to anything besides worship. And I feel and that's shaped me to really cut myself off from everything else and let myself just be in God's presence. So I guess that just kind of seeing everything from a different point of view really, really shaped me in the help of others.
All right, here's a really big question, and I want you guys to hear this. Are there spiritual gifts that are expressed in your local church that you feel like you're not able to express? Things like prophecy, things like praying for others, laying on of hands, things preaching, teaching, leading worship, are there any things that you feel, hey, I don't feel like I have permission or freedom to do that at this point? And I don't, and it could be with conditions, and I get it, but I think it's helpful for us to know if there's things that we might be doing as leaders that aren't at least communicating to you, hey, you have access to these things. Is there anything like that that you've ever felt like you don't have the opportunity to do? Yeah, go for it, Daniel.
I personally don't think that at all. I know that in my local church, they provide every opportunity to do whatever you want, whenever you want, and how you want to, as long as it's genuine. So I feel comfortable that however I want to worship, however I want to do things, if it's genuine from the heart, from my heart that's been inspired by God, they will make a way for me, they'll provide for me, and they'll let it happen.
Yeah. And I've personally never felt this way, and I just feel like it's, we all have the freedom to do, the gifts, and we have the freedom, to go pray for someone, or go on worship and do stuff like that. But I also feel like everyone has a gift in them, and I think it's really cool that, in church you're able to kind of, explore and see what your gift is, especially as a young person as well. You kind of struggle with that, what is my gift, and kind of finding that in you. And I think it's really cool that in church you can, you're free to do that. You're free to go and find what your gift is and what God has blessed you with too. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I just want to say that I've always been told, my dad's told me this, TK's told me this, it's better to have wildfire than no fire. And that's the thing that I think has been so evident in our church. Is just, there's wildfire, obviously. There's been some weird times, but the thing is, when you're glorifying Jesus, there's always opportunities. And my dad always tells me that opportunities come from the Lord, leadership comes from the Lord. It's not something that you do. So when you get the opportunity to preach, it's not because you finally recognize it's because the Lord wanted to use you. So,
and just I think NCMI as a whole. I was away at school, so I've experienced a few kind of different churches and different vibes. But I think we've just done a great job in cultivating that culture within us, and within. I see all my friends, and I just feel like we're all on the same wavelength. We know that we have a space, and it's the most liberating feeling, because we know God's speaking to us and He's speaking through us, and no one's gonna be like, hey, well, So I think we've cultivated that great.
Awesome. I have two more questions real quick. How can we as church leaders, pastors, and others who are encouraging young people within our churches, what things can we do better to encourage more of that, to encourage more of sharing your gifts, to encourage you more to step out in the areas that God is personally calling you to, and your friends? You talk with your friends, you know some of the things that they might feel inhibited from doing. How can we as leaders encourage more of you using all that God has deposited inside of you?
Can I say something? Yeah. Honestly, the thing is making Jesus the centerpiece of it all. If you make Jesus the glorifying factor, the reason that you go to church, the reason that you worship, the whole reason that we're here is for Jesus, right? And the thing is that I feel like kids our age aren't going to fall in love with the church. They're not going to fall in love with worship. They're going to fall in love with Jesus. And that's the thing that my dad preached just right now. It's amazing. It's not anything we can do. It's not anything that we can do in our power. It's just glorifying Jesus, and kids will find authenticity in that. So,
yeah, that was really good. I really think it's just all about creating a space. That's really it, just creating opportunities. So if you're doing ministry at your time and you see your youth standing in the back, bring them to the front, be like, hey, come pray for some people. Or, hey, there's some new people, would you guys mind introducing yourselves, invite them to places, let's go out to eat after church, everything. So it's just creating a space, creating an opportunity, and then just backing us. Yeah.
Real quick. I think just from my perspective, obviously I want to go to women, and I want women to be discipling me, but I think the people that I've kind of wanted, they're their moms, or they're working, And so, like, but that's important to me. So women, like, just making it a point to go to the young woman and say, hey, like, I want to be that for you. Like, I had someone say that to me today, and it was like, whoa, like, I didn't know that was something that you wanted to do for me. So just making that space it's hard for us, like, we're thinking, like, oh, well, you do this, and you do this. But we don't know that you still want to be giving to us, so.
Cool. Last question, and I want you all to answer this to the best of your ability. When do you feel most alive when you're connected to Jesus and his church? Like what just, sparks you? And it could be different thing, but just so we get a sense of, hey, these are the things that just activate our young people. And what expressions that you've seen in our togetherness in your local church that just really, set you ablaze. We want to hear some of that. And I'll let you answer randomly. Start with Josh, though.
Me? Oh, okay. Oh, here we go. The thing that gets me on fire is Jesus. There's no other name that gets me on fire like that. Jesus Christ is the centerpiece of it all. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't want to do any of this if it weren't for Jesus. So that's what gets me on fire for it.
Go ahead, Christine. You got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Jesus gets me on fire. I think we have prayer meeting in the beginning of church. I think that is a really good way, to like ignite the flame in your heart before worship. But yeah, and worship alone. I don't know, everything about church just ignites my heart. But I think a really good way is like going deep in.
I don't have a specific answer, but what I can say is that everything about church and the life of going to church, I love. I love every Sunday. For my whole life, actually, I've gone to church every Sunday, and there's never been a Sunday where I thought to myself, I really don't want to go this Sunday. It's a drag. My one friend's not going to be there. I don't want to go to church. And now we have youth or like our young adults on a Wednesday evening. There's never been a Wednesday when I've thought, hey, this guy's coming. I really don't want to go. It's just everything I love about it. I come to church on a Sunday. Worship's awesome. If I get to play drums, I have a really good time. And my favorite part is sitting down in the preach, and when the whole church is quiet and they're just listening. It's like honey coming from the person that's preaching.
Yeah, that's good.
I really love just being unified with everybody, and when we're all laying our hands on each other to pray, and then we're just lifting up our voices. I feel like when I'm really with people around me who also love Jesus, it definitely brings up my spirits. And really makes me more engaged just to like see that I'm in such a great community with like all these people who love Jesus so much, and it's just super amazing to like be in the presence of it all.
I really like to be by myself. So I'm sure my brothers you can talk to them later, but I'm really annoying. Because I just like to sing at the top of my lungs because that's just what I do. So I think that's when I feel the closest to God is just through music, because that's what I'm passionate about. So.
Yeah, I don't think it's like a specific thing. I think it's just like the recognition that like on a Sunday morning we all get up for the same reason, we all go early for the same reason, we're all there for the same person, and just like looking around, you see different people, different personalities, like young and old, but just the fact that we're all unified and we're gathering under one roof just to worship our one King, like the one thing we all have in common, so.
Awesome. Hey, how about a big hand for these guys? One last thought from me. In my generation, orthodoxy was the norm. It was we teach young people, teach kids right living. Studies today say they learn most through orthopraxy, or through actually doing it, on-the-job training. And I really believe, not just because of the study, but because of what we see in Scripture, we teach and release. And so that is my heart, and I pray that you guys have a bit of that heart too. So, Chris.
Well done, Jody. Well done. One quick question, very quick, the answer at least. A couple of you are PKs, preacher's kids. Why do you want to minister with your parents? Danny, quickly, just why?
I mean, the easy answer would be is because I love my parents. But I mean,
yeah, stick to the truth.
correct answer would be that I love Jesus, and I know my parents love Jesus, and I can see that we all love him the same, and that's the easiest answer I can give you.
Awesome. Josh?
Here we go, Dad. It's your time to cry, bro. No, I think that it's just, I see that it's real for them. It's not something fake. It's not something that they're just trying to put on. It's real for them, and that's something that kids will enjoy and kids will see, is that it's real. And I would be the first one to tell you that it's something fake if it was something fake, which it's not.
Excellent. Chloe?
Yeah, I think my parents, they've just done a good job in the way that they're leading at home and at church. Like, there's no difference there. And especially because I live in their house, I think I could speak on that. But yeah, like, the way that they love is something that I've never felt anywhere else. And so just to be able to do that alongside of them is one of the greatest privileges.
Awesome. Well, if I can speak for Tyron and the team, for you guys and for all of you younger generation, we believe in you. Tyron said it years ago at an Equip, and it just broke so much. We believe in each generation. We want to let you know, as a younger generation, we're not waiting, we're here. There is space, and we believe in it. We believe in the gift that you are in Christ. And I want to encourage us as leaders, be willing to risk, not with character, but risk with youth. Let their fire, let their fervency run alongside. When they make a mistake, pick them up and let them continue to run with you. Someone risked with us. Let's risk with them, and we can change the world. Well done, guys. Thank you. Give them a hand.